Welcome back, everybody, to the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from Puerto Rican friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd-related media. Today, we're going to talk about a few news things that have come out in Star Wars, an amazing trip that Goose here had over the weekend, and I don't know, just a little bit of Star Wars appreciation in general. So, what were you doing this weekend, Goose?
It's always nice to take a little break. You know, we've been talking about Andor nonstop, so this feels like a good little pause. I don't think we're necessarily done speaking Andor because there's so much to dive in. But thanks for asking. It was a very busy weekend last weekend. I mean, for everyone that's listening to this, 2 weekends ago, I guess. We we'll be talking about it more in depth later because there's footage about what I'm about to say. But I was in San Francisco over the last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I guess, if you're listening to this when we're releasing it on Wednesday. Got a very unique opportunity, very privileged, very lucky to have been invited by the fine folks over at Lucasfilm to go over to San Francisco and go to the Presidio and go to see the Yoda fountain and beyond and be inside the realm of Lucasfilm and ILM, which is insane to say. It's I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth, and a conversation that amongst the other podcasters and YouTubers that were also invited to go there, a common theme among us was just like, did you ever think when you started when we started these podcasts X amount of years ago that we would be all here at Mecca, basically, you know, look at Lucasfilm, the grounds that makes the thing that we love, and everyone's answer across the board, no. Just like, no, it's a
no way you imagine that happening.
Yeah, no, it was wild. It was wild. Like we're like I said, we're not gonna talk about too much in detail today about that trip and all the things that we did over there because we'll be releasing some special content about that later in the future once we get some stuff back from Lucasfilm so that it ties into that, and then we'll go in more in depth. But the short and sweet of it, amazing trip with amazing people to do and see really cool things. I mean, we were part of 3 interviews over there. I mean, this we can say, right? We did an interview with sound editor for Andor, Marky Pfeiffer, interview with K2SO himself, Alan Tudyk, and the man, the myth, the legend, the creator of Andor, Tony Gilroy himself was there for a roundtable with us, and I can't believe those words came out of my mouth. We did a screening.
I think you're shocking yourself as you say it more and more.
Yeah, especially because now it's a memory. You know, it's weird. It's weird enough.
It actually happened.
It's weird enough to be invited. It's also bizarre to be there in the moment because your senses are overloaded with the experience. And then afterwards, you look back and it's like, oh, now it's done. Now it's a memory. Like, did it even happen? Was it a dream? Was it a manic episode? But yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible. So I'm very excited to. If you follow us on Instagram, you've probably seen some of the photographs. We unfortunately were not allowed to take videos or photos while we were in there for a lot of the tour and the interviews that we did. So Lucasfilm is supposed to provide audio and video of it. I don't know in what what will be given.
Actually happen.
If they'll censor it. But no, we behaved. All the questions were good. We didn't get too spicy. We didn't ask anything that had any keywords that haven't been used in previous interviews. So I think all the content should be safe. But yeah, once that arrives, we'll figure out how we're going to release it, and then we can talk about the experience a little more in full because it was a lot to take in. But yeah, magical, and thank God that we had a slow Star Wars week in terms of news because after that after that trip over the weekend, I don't think I would have been able
to digest anything.
Yeah, it's like no, but we did get news, and that's why we're here today, and it's basically Succession in real life. Did you watch that show by any chance?
I did.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
Okay, I haven't watched it. Like I don't know, I've been so overloaded with shows about rich people. I'm just like I can't get
Well,
into.
I mean, one of the reasons I was so excited when I heard about Andor is when they announced Nicholas Patel as the composer for
Mhm,
season
mhm,
one,
mhm.
because he was the composer for Succession, and
Yeah,
that soundtrack is just
it's great.
one of
Yes,
the
yes.
best soundtracks out there in general. But I will admit, it took me time to get into the show because, as you were saying, like just rich people drama, just I'm not all that into it. It was one of those shows that we started watching together, me and Josbando, and then as it started going, I was like, I'm kind of bored. I hate all the characters. I don't want any of them to be the successor.
Mhm,
Like they
mhm.
should all just die because they all suck. You know, like they
Yeah,
none of
yeah.
them deserve their inheritance. Um, and then it was kind of Josbando just wanted to keep watching, and I was like, then just keep going. I'll just like sit here in the corner and like read something or whatever. And then as episodes kept going by, and I was listening to what was happening, I was like, wait,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
now
yeah.
explain to me who's that. Explain to me what's happening. He's like, just
Just watch it,
just
yeah.
watch it. And then I got into it, and then as the seasons kept going, I kept watching, and then that is one of the best series finales I've seen, which is I think really hard to land in a show. So
Mhm,
all in all,
mhm.
I would recommend it to everybody and say, give it a chance if at first you
Yeah,
can't get into it, because it was rough for me to get into it. But now I think it's such a great, amazing show. I mean, it's
I know.
acted to perfection and it's written so well. So yeah, so I do recommend
I know, it's one of those things that I know I have to because of the
it. But you're just
zeitgeist and
like, eh.
everything,
Mhm.
but there's also, like, so many things to be caught up on, like, now, finally getting through Severance. I'm on season 2, kinda
Oh, Severance is so good.
halfway through, which I'm a little okay, this is gonna be like, a little pet. I know we're doing a big old tangent to the topic we were going to talk about. But I'm a little salty watching Severance because it's very good, extremely good.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it a lot. But now that we're in award season, and Emmys are right around the corner, everyone is doing their for your consideration campaigns to get the shows nominated. And as we know, our darling sweet boy Andor,
Yeah.
Disney
Hmm.
is prepping it for awards in I think all the categories, if I'm not mistaken, except lead actress, I guess, because there's no lead actress, it's only supporting actress. But all the actors are nominated
Yeah.
for something in there. Sound, music, everything is being submitted. And one of the things that like I'm kind of worried about Andor because I mean obviously I'm biased, right? I love the show
Right.
and I wanted to win every single award out there because I think it's that good. I think but it has deep competition, and I think that people love Severance as they should. And it's tough to go up against so many heavy hitters because I do
Yeah.
think that there's a lot of really good TV happening right now. A lot of really good shows are nominated, and I'm just afraid that because it's a Star War, people are gonna be like,
Hmm.
"Oh, poo poo that.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
like that little sci-fi space
It's not art.
fantasy thing."
Mhm.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Mhm. Which it
So
is though,
it is. I
because it's
mean,
amazing. But I will agree, there is really tough competition. What else is up for the season?
oh, you caught
You
me
know?
off guard. I don't know.
Oh,
I know that. Oh my god! Now I'm blanking out. I don't know. I just know that when I read the list
yeah.
of contenders that Andor is up against, the only one that honestly comes to mind directly is Severance. I was just like, this is gonna be rough. Gonna be steep competition, and I unfortunately, I mean, I'm not a betting man, and I don't know jack about awards and like how who's favored to win what. But I have a
Mhm.
feeling that Andor's not gonna get the love. I think it might get
Yeah.
technical stuff, which is
Some,
kind of a
yeah,
curse
but
of
maybe
Star
not the
Wars. But
acting and stuff, yeah, that they always get.
oh,
Mhm.
I mean, and Jesus, like if because we haven't gotten the short lists of the nominees, so uh, I would at least want Andor to make a lot of those lists. But
Yeah.
especially Genevieve O'Reilly's like, come on, give that woman her flowers. Like she deserves them. She knocked it out of the park. Stellan's also nominated for a guest performance or something like that, and so is Forrest Whitaker. Everyone's got something, and I think that there's so much love and passion to that show that you know
Yeah. There's a lot, but I'm
something.
just off the top, I found something that says like contenders for best drama series. They're saying Andor, The Diplomat, which is really good. The Last of Us, The Pit, Severance,
Oh, the
Slow
pit. Yeah,
Horses, The Pit,
I
yeah,
heard the
which got
pit's
a lot of
amazing.
love.
Yeah,
I actually didn't like it as much, just because I kept comparing it with
the
ER,
ER.
and
I haven't seen it, but
but
ever since I saw the ad, I'm just like, hey, this is just ER. It's just a spinoff.
yeah. So because I don't feel it's as good as ER. I don't think it's as good, but Husbanda loved it, and I've heard a lot of people that do. And then they are this is like a Variety article. They are saying that they think Severance is going to win. But who knows? It's also Slow Horses, which I haven't watched, which is weird because I
I haven't
love
even
Gary
heard of that
Oldman.
one.
It's an Apple with the
Oh,
Spice one with
yeah. Gary Oldman.
yeah,
Now
yeah.
the poster
And
jumped
then
into my
Squid
mind.
Game and The White Lotus, which I love White Lotus, but I thought the third season was its weakest one so far. So
That's what I've heard from
yeah.
people.
Hmm.
I guess it's not a knock against Severance because I am enjoying it thoroughly.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, I haven't finished season 2 yet, so I don't know.
Hmm.
Like maybe by the end of it, I'll be like, oh shit, yeah, deserves to outthrone Andor, and I'm not sure if there's gonna be a season 3 of Severance. I have no idea how it ends this season, but if it's gonna have another season, don't give it the award. Give it to Andor. Andor's over. This is it, man. Just come on. It's Variety though, so that's reputable. So I would buy into that.
It's
It's
just
it's
predictions. You
unfortunate.
never know. Sometimes they don't necessarily do what we think they're going to do.
True,
So
true. Sometimes there's like these curveballs that are just like very, very bizarre. So does
they're predicting Diego Luna for Best Actor, but
oh
winning
really?
Noah Wiley. They're winning Noah Wiley. They're
Oh,
suggesting nomination for
okay, Diego.
yeah, but that Noah Wiley from The Pit's going to win.
I mean, no disrespect to Diego, but I can see that. Diego
Yeah,
was amazing, but I
yeah,
do think that there's a lot of excellent competition out there. That's not to say that
yeah,
he was bad. It's more that
yeah, yeah.
it's
He's also going against Gary Oldman. I
yeah,
mean,
it's
come
it's it's
on,
tough. It's tough. It's tough.
it's
It's
tough.
tough.
Yeah.
You can't.
So that's
But
gonna be an interesting like
interesting.
award seasons because I feel like I'm more invested than usual this
Yeah,
year.
I usually don't care
Don't care.
at all,
Yeah.
but we have a horse in the race this time, so
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll do maybe we'll do an Emmys night or an Emmys recap thing and other
Yeah.
nerd related media
Because this year
adjacent.
we kind of care.
This year we kind of care, and it'll
Yeah.
either be celebratory or absolutely depressing. Either way, there will be booze. But but speaking about reputable news outlets talking about uh, the media landscape and everything that's happening. Adjacent to that, which is what we wanted to talk about today, was the slow news on Star Wars, and it was the Hollywood Reporter, I think, broke this or had like an article about it, which was
Yeah, it was
more
the
about
Hollywood Reporter. Mhm.
the succession. Hence why I segged
Yeah.
into
It's a Successions.
into
Yeah.
that tangent. The succession over at Disney. Specifically, it was about Bob Iger, if I'm not mistaken. But there was a blurb in there in the article, sorry, about Kathleen Kennedy and her eventual stepping down from the company because it's gonna happen. I know that people have
Yeah.
been saying every year that Kathleen Kennedy's gonna get fired, blah 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 blah, which has
Yeah.
always been BS. And this is one of the reasons that I kind of have been dreading the moment that it actually happens because it's just a matter of
Right.
time. People retire, so
Right.
eventually
But
that
there's been so
will
much
be
bullshit
real.
around it for so many years.
Yeah,
So
and that's the
yeah.
thing. It'll for them. It'll be like, aha, see, we knew it. She got
Yeah.
fired. She's like, it
Like,
only
yeah,
took
well,
like
you've been trying 10 years.
10 years. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but she's an incredible tour de force in Hollywood who helped produce and make most of the films from our childhood and has definitely steered Lucasfilm in amazing directions. Without her, we wouldn't have the things that we love, like The Last Jedi, The Mandalorian. We wouldn't have Andor. So
Mhm.
it's very disingenuous, right, to hurl the attacks that she gets for some of the things that people like a little less. Because if she's responsible for the things you didn't like, she's also responsible for the ones you did.
Mm.
So it's very
And
unfair. But
especially when they say that she kills Star Wars. It's like Star Wars is still up and running and and
yeah,
thriving, So what are you talking about?
and I thought George had killed it, like with Episode One.
Oh
So it's
yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
so I don't know. I'm just like it's this whole bizarre clickbait negativity a hurricane of people that just
Yeah.
feed off on that stuff, and it's frankly exhausting. But the day will come when she
Yeah.
steps down, because that's it's only natural. She's not the Pope. She's not gonna be there until she dies. She hopefully
Yeah.
retires, and she's
Well,
starting.
yeah, she's in like in her 70s now, right? And she's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
doing this. Like that job has to be
Yes,
exhausting
it's especially with all how
with all the
personal it's
hate.
gotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Hmm.
most people don't know who the hell a CEO of a company is, so they just
Yeah.
come and go as they please, almost in anonymity. But she is on the crosshairs of
All
so
the
many
time.
toxic
Yeah.
fans that it must be not just exhausting because of the responsibility, right, of dealing with Star Wars, but the emotional toll of having to deal with all these misogynist and hateful beings out there that just want to see
Yeah.
her demise in the
Yeah.
industry. But with that, interesting news about what that might look like in a post Kathy Kennedy world at Star Wars. Apparently, the Hollywood Reporter says that the names that are being floated around for the succession of Kathy are two. In fact, it's not just going to be like one person.
Yeah.
Allegedly, it's going to be like a dual reign, co-CEO environment, kind of like at over at DC with James Gunn and whatever his partner's name is over there. But have Dave Filoni and Carrie Beck as the co-CEOs of Lucasfilm, which I thought was extremely interesting. One name makes a lot of sense to me. The other one does not. I'm curious to see your reaction to this news and see if your reactions match mine. What do you think, Nanny?
Um, honestly, to me, neither name makes all that much sense. Not to disparage either of them because they have been involved in some of the things that I love most in Disney and Filoni specifically. I feel like he saved the prequels for me by doing the Clone Wars animated series that granted it took me a really long time to watch, but once I did, I can truly appreciated what he brought to that. Obviously he did Mando, which is like one of Disney's, best-selling properties and one thing that brought a lot of people into Star Wars that were not necessarily interested in it.
Yeah.
But I think Filoni is more interested in the Filoniverse than Star Wars in general. And you can see it through everything that he produces, like when he did Ahsoka, and he's very interested in the Mandoverse, Filoniverse, everything that has to do with him. And I think for Star Wars to really excel, we need different voices out
Mm.
there and different stories and different points of views. And that's why I like what's been happening in the last few years with so much integration with the books and the comics
Mm.
and, allowing, I don't think Filoni or even George Lucas would have allowed a show like Andor to be made.
Probably not. Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like we need some new blood into it. Not that that Filoni and Carrie Beck shouldn't remain where they are, still producing the show that they produce, but like being the head honcho of the whole thing, I feel like Star Wars in general would suffer from it. That's just me.
It's interesting because I agree with the Filoni thing, and
Yeah.
and I think it's become fashionable to be a Filoni hater. I think that train, people are jumping on it
I don't hate him though.
more.
I think
No,
he's
no, I know,
amazing. I
I know.
just don't think, yeah.
But there's
Mhm.
yeah, but there's a lot of discourse, around him about how he can only do that thing, which is
Yeah.
the Ahsoka thing, and,
Yeah.
I think it's unfair. I think he's extremely talented and extremely creative, but I agree with you. I don't necessarily think that he would not allow or be open to other things that aren't the
Right.
things that he's interested in. But I do think that, for lack of a better term, he might be a little of a tone policeman on this, in terms of just like, oh, that tone's not Star Wars, and
Yeah.
well, it might be a project that, and I don't know, I've never met the guy, so I'm maybe completely
Right.
off base. So we're
We
just
are
two.
totally speculating. It's fine.
Yeah, we're just two guys
Trying
on
to do
the
it
internet, guys.
responsibly.
Yeah, two
Mhm.
guys on the internet trying to be fair, uh, to the best of our abilities. But yeah, but I do think that he doesn't. I don't know it for a fact, but I do think that he doesn't jive with Andor, and I don't think that even
Mhm.
if a show like Andor would happen with Filoni, I do think that he would want to Star Warsify it for what
Yeah.
for whatever that means to
Yeah.
whoever that means something, right? Because what is Star Wars is so many different things to so many different people.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a, which is what happened with George. I think in many ways, at least in my mind, it's just that
Mhm.
because he's the guy, right, that knows
Yeah.
the thing, people just let him do whatever. And and I think the prequels suffered a lot for it, as much as I love them and
Mhm.
as much as we've
Yeah.
come to appreciate them again in a new light. I do think that because people just didn't tell George, like, hey, maybe no.
Yeah. Yeah.
he, there was a lot of things that became a little out of got out of control. And I think that maybe the same thing would happen with Filoni. People are just worship him so much because he's the
Yeah.
quote unquote uh, heir to George Lucas, that Star Wars might become just bland again. And maybe
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong, and he'd be like,
Yeah.
"No, man, let's burn it to the ground. Let's do so many different projects that they're all going to be different, and I'll eat my words." And I hope so,
Mhm.
right?
Sure.
But yeah, but I don't get that vibe, which is why I think that the pairing, and I also don't think that, and I also don't think creatives vibe with the whole leadership thing of being an admin. Creative should create. It's like at
Yeah.
Apple. It's like at Apple. Yeah, Steve Jobs was a visionary, but he was an administrator, right? He trusted
Yeah.
Jonathan Ive to design, and he had a
Yeah.
team of people that did the thing. He didn't do the thing. He made sure the thing happened. And I think
Yeah.
that Lucasfilm needs that. We need another Kathy Kennedy is what we need. And some Kathy Kennedy trusts her creators to create. Um,
Yeah.
and that's why I like Carrie as a lot as the option, because you look at her resume, you look at her portfolio. It She really is kind of a Kathy Kennedy flavored, and
Right, but
she
she's worked mostly directly with Filoni, right? Or am I wrong?
yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
it's
Mhm.
it's really interesting too, because in all of these celebrations that I've been to, when Filoni's on stage and Carrie's on stage with him, Filoni goes out of his way to hurl praise
Okay.
in Carrie's direction and say how she's the one that actually makes everything happen, because
Okay.
she's on it,
Okay.
and she's the producer, right? That she's making sure that everything's on schedule,
Yeah.
making sure that everyone's on the same page and
Okay.
everything
So
happens.
that's the role that she's been doing this whole time. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
necessarily understand that
So
about the
she's been
dynamic.
on that side of
Okay.
the production, right? Of
Uh-huh. Which is what we
a lot of
need.
these things,
Yeah.
which is what we
Mhm.
need. And I think that,
Mhm.
and I think it's not. I don't think necessarily that it's bad to bring in an outsider into a company, because that sometimes can shake things up for the better.
Breathe new air too.
But
Sometimes you need new perspectives, but
you don't want
um
someone that's gonna, like, just completely change the culture. And I think that there's
yeah.
a culture in Lucasfilm that you kind of want someone that vibes, right? And they could be an
Yeah.
outsider, but it's always nice to promote from within. So
I agree.
I
Yeah.
think Carrie could be a good choice, but it's
How
just
do you feel
bizarre.
about it being one person as opposed to two?
I do like splitting power. If there's one,
Uh-huh.
if there's one thing that uh, we are desperately learning in the current state of
Oh
government,
god.
in the
Yeah.
current state of government in the United States, is that centralizing power is not good because you don't check
Yes.
and balance it. So
Mhm.
I think dispersing power is good. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, you still need kind of like people that are shepherding things, but you don't
Yeah.
want to centralize it so much that they have complete and utter control over a
Yeah.
thing. And that's one of the reasons that I think Filoni shouldn't be the
Yeah.
top guy, because
Mhm.
I don't. I think he should be where he's at. Like, he's the.
Mhm.
I mean, I was double checking what his role was at Lucasfilm, and he's the chief creative officer. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
he's already top of the ladder. I don't think he wants to run a company either. If I were a creative and I had the power that I wanted, for just do whatever I want for creativity,
Hmm.
I would just want to stay there. I don't, but
You
that,
wouldn't necessarily have to be behind a desk with the
yeah,
paperwork
yeah,
and
like
yeah.
you don't want to go to meetings,
Meetings. Yeah.
meetings with people that don't get what you're doing, so you can find
Hmm.
financing for the thing that you want, and which is like, which is all these CEO jobs. It's just like finding
Yeah.
money and convincing
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
to do
I'll
a
do the
thing.
creative stuff. You find me the money.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I don't know. So in many ways, and I saw our friend Molly talk about this, and I think she has a really good point. And all of this might be kind of like an optics thing, where Lucasfilm or Disney are afraid, of kind of having another woman be
Yeah.
CEO, and like the whole
Mhm.
misogynist backlash against it, and kind of maybe having Filoni as the co-lead will help the toxic fan base get riled up and be like, oh, another woke CEO, and like maybe having Filoni's just like, oh, okay, well, so maybe it's just kind of a an optics thing where Filoni's just there to balance out something that to some people will be outrageous, even though it's totally fine for a woman
Yeah.
to be,
A
the
woman
lead of a
already
company.
is.
Well, yeah, but they hate it,
I
right?
know,
So
and they
if
hate it. Yeah.
and they hate it, and it doesn't matter which woman it would be. If it's a woman, they'll hate it. So,
Yeah.
I know it's tough, but again, it's speculation. Who knows?
Yeah. Doesn't mean
Just
the company has to like. Well, but Disney usually crumbles to public opinion. So, but
I've seen some people be like, it should be Tony Gilroy, and it's like, leave the man alone. He
yeah,
wants to leave.
yeah,
he,
he's done. He wanted to do Andor, and that was it.
he he
Yeah.
wants he cut it from 5 seasons to two, so he could just
Yeah.
leave this miserable place and just
That is
do
Star
whatever
Wars.
else he wants. Although to be fair, even though he says he wants to leave, he is loving all the fan love that he's getting, and it's
Right.
hilarious to
Well
see how
deserved.
much it's one of the things that we were that we heard about is that he loves all the bootleg slash fan made shirts that people make, like
Okay.
the non official Lucasfilm merch, and he loves to wear them to the conventions and the interviews. And apparently, Lucasfilm asks him to stop
Stop.
and not wear those because obviously they want to promote their stuff.
Claro.
But he's just like, no, I love these too much. Um,
That's hilarious. I didn't
yeah.
know that.
So it's because what he said was that, and this isn't a spoiler to like our interview that we did with him, but he was
Yeah.
saying that it's very interesting for him, right? Because he's done all these things that have had acclaim, right? Like the Bourne films, and obviously Michael
Right.
Clayton had so much
Mhm.
Oscar buzz and accolades. And and he says like, yeah, that's great, to be loved and respected for that. But none of those have been like franchises where people are making art and
Yeah.
have continuous momentum of people loving it and hurling love and praise his way. So he's really been he's been taken aback by it and like loves the attention. He's like, oh my god, none of the things I've done has received this much love. So he's relishing it. But as much as he relishes it, I think he wants to do it without the responsibility of having to continue it. He's like, okay, this is the thing that's done. People
I
love
already
it.
did it.
Yeah,
Praise it. Bye.
and I'm gone, which I think it's a very healthy thing to do too, because he could let it get, he could let it go to his head and be like, yes, I'm wrestling power now, and I'm gonna be the Star Wars guy. But he's like, nah, man, I had my time in the sandbox. It's time to retire. Any person that you think as a wild card that hasn't been mentioned would be a good CEO of Star Wars?
I'm actually terrible at this.
You think? Because I don't know. I don't know anybody.
I don't know anybody. I don't have my finger on the pulse. I barely follow any social media. So, I didn't even know about the story until you sent it to me. So
Happy to oblige.
I know. So I'm kind of terrible at this. I don't know who would be good at the job, honestly. I have no idea what other names have been thrown around or anything. I just have to say that, I don't love everything that Kathleen Kennedy has done, but I am going to be very sad to see her leave. So,
And yeah, and that's fair. And I think that's one of those
mhm,
things that we can say about like almost. I mean, Kevin
mhm.
Feige. Everyone loved that man, but he's been responsible also for things that haven't been great. in the Marvel universe. So, no one can bat
Mhm.
1,000.
Yeah.
People, and it's normal, right?
Well,
I don't know.
it has to
It'd be
be an
boring
insane
if
amount of
everything was
pressure at
great.
that.
If
Yeah.
everything was great, nothing would.
Oh, of course. 100%. But yeah, so I don't know. Do you have any names?
I think they should make a brain trust CEO of podcasters and YouTubers, and that include us exclusively. And
No.
we have final say on who gets to join that council. But
Yeah,
that's
no.
just me. Maybe it's because I'm a little selfish. I don't know, but I think we would be really good. We would be really good. We would have fun. There'll be lots more parties at
Oh, yeah.
Lucasfilm. I'll tell you that. I don't know who
Yeah.
there's gonna be a lot of production getting done because I don't know how to
Yeah.
find money for movies, but we're gonna have fun. I can say that for sure.
Yeah. No, that sounds like a terrible idea. For everybody else, it would be great for
Maybe,
us,
maybe, yeah,
but
maybe. But just think about it,
just
Kathy. If you're listening to this, think about it. Just think about it. I love the space. I won't redecorate. I promise.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Nice. Nice goose.
But yeah, but we'll see. But we'll see. It's gonna be an interesting couple of weeks in the lead up to Emmys to see what the
Mhm.
nominations are gonna be, and obviously an interesting lead up in months or years. Like who knows what the timeline is going to be for the succession to happen. But we'll be
Mhm.
here. We'll be here, and we'll be ready to cover it and react to it and say our uninformed opinions of it when it happens.
True,
But until
true.
then, I think this is a good spot to
Mhm.
wrap it up and keep it short and sweet.
Mhm. Yeah, I think this is good for today. It's a little
And the
little
slow
break
win, yeah,
from all the yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Sometimes we just need to recap a little bit and
yeah,
just stay tuned everybody once we get that footage from Goose's awesome trip to San Francisco.
yeah.
Um we will be sharing it with you guys. We'll have commentary on it. We hope you love it. We are not done with the Andor train. There are still so many amazing things to talk about and you can't tell us that we should stop because it's the end. It's the last Andor we're getting. So we're going to talk about it as
Exactly.
long as we want. But
And you
anyway,
will
just let
listen.
us you force you. But anyway, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you think about the succession of Lucasfilm, what you
Mhm.
think about upcoming Emmys. Do you think Andor has a chance? And let us know topics about Andor and other things Star Wars or nerd related that you would like us
Mhm.
to talk about because that's what we're here for. So until next time, may the force be with you.